Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode
Number 46.
We're so glad you're here. During our week, as we coach and we go through things, we often find patterns. And one of the patterns that Amy has come across lately is coaching people responsive desire and some of the things that it plays tricks with them in their minds about how they want to go resolve this. I find it as a problem first, which is a problem. It's not a problem. But when I come across and see that their sexuality is different than their partners, it's not spontaneous. How do they handle that and what do they do? And so we want to spend some moments with you this week in this podcast, specifically on the responsive side, talking about this. Now, we're going to get really intimate around the responsive desire. My spontaneous friends, let me tell you two things. One, it's going to be very interesting for you to listen, because if you have a responsive partner, which you most likely do, because it takes the two different sides to make this work, you're going to want to listen and learn. But also, please don't use us as ammo. We remind you that at one time we had to put our favorite podcast person in timeout
Yes, we did.
because we used to use her as ammo against each other.
Used to use her as weapons. Like,
Yep.
we'd listen to the podcast for where we were right and then, or where we thought they were wrong. And then, like, did you hear that? Did you hear? So-and-so said ... And that's not what we intend our podcast to ever be used for. If you're listening, please listen to understand.
Right. So, my spontaneous friends, put your curious ears on. Attach those curious ears and start thinking, I would love to understand my responsive partner and the way they think about this, not so that I can change them and make them look like me, but so that I can understand it and we can become together. This is the beautiful place, people. This is where eroticism lives and grows, and intimacy can live and grow. And when we think it's a problem, that's the problem, not the differences between our sexuality. So, babe, let's dig in. Responsive desire today.
Okay, so first I just want to say what spurred this episode was, as you said, the past several weeks, I have had responsive desire client after responsive desire client on a call, and my heart is like literally breaking. I also remember being in this place and feeling these ways. I have been thinking a lot about how can I speak to, and I'm going to speak in general terms of women. Often responsive desire is within women. I don't mean to exclude any responsive desire males. We will do a podcast for you at a later point. But I hope that you still find some helpful tips or nuggets of wisdom in this podcast to help you, whether you're male or female. But I'm going to more specifically be speaking to responsive desire females. And what I have heard and have listened to the last several weeks is women sharing how they feel absolutely broken, how when they try to approach their sexuality, they feel like something is fundamentally wrong with them. They feel like they should be presenting the same as their spouse. They should be having the same desires. They should be having the same fantasies. They should be interacting with their sexuality in the same way. And these lists of shoulds.
That's a lot of shooting on you.
It's a lot of shoulding. And really, when we talk about brakes and accelerators, that's the dual control model that Emily Nagoski talks about to describe female desire and arousal. Brakes are anything that move you away from being able to be aroused and engaging with your sexuality, and accelerators are things you move towards. This has got to be one of the biggest brakes, because if you feel that you have to leave yourself behind, that you have to produce or be different or dissociate, or that who you are is essentially or fundamentally wrong, that is a huge break. And I really like to think of it more as an indicator that you're entering into this relationship with your own sexuality and into sexuality from the wrong vantage point.
Right.
Because we shouldn't want to desire to leave ourselves behind or to not want to be who we are, especially in sexuality.
Right. Let's step a little bit back and remind each other kind of how we got ourselves here as a culture, as a society, and as a people, right? For years and years and decades, we only studied sexuality through the perspective of a male or a spontaneous person's sexuality. And so everything that was set up from a scientific, from a cultural, from a marketing perspective, that's the way the world portrayed it, right?
Mhm.
So not only were the scientists completely wrong because they weren't studying the other side of
Well,
sexuality.
they weren't wrong about male
No,
desire, but they were wrong about
right. They
responsive
were
or
missing a
female.
whole other half
Yeah.
of the population and they never talked about it. But you think the marketing world would pick up on that? Heck no, they're not going to pick up on another thing. They're going to run with that and say, how do we market this things to show you that this is the way you want? You want our products, you want the things that we have because it's going to make you this way. They're going to change you because heck, they have you over a barrel now that they can make you be a certain way. And if you're that way, you're going to be desirable. So the whole society has latched onto this and it's grown into a place where every turn you go, you look and say, I'm broken. I should be different. I need to look like this. I need this product. I need this thing. I have to look this way. And the pressures on you are just incredulous. They're crazy.
Mhm.
You fight not only to have your own sexuality and be with your partner, but then what does that portray with all the other responsive women around you? And are you looking a certain way? My heart goes out to you because I watched Amy for years and years and years deal with this and the pain that it brought her and the
Mhm.
confusion that her brought her was just insane. I didn't help out because I was pushing on the wrong things because I was confused. I had no idea there was another kind of sexuality and it could look different and that'd be great. I was completely confused. And so I wasn't helping because I was doubling down on that theory that there's something wrong with you and you need to be fixed.
And that's a lot of the messaging that responsive desire is receiving from their spouse. And so in their heart and mind, they're creating lists like, I should be like this. I should have this. I should feel this. I need to produce this. I have to earn this. I have to do this or else I will lose my spouse. And there is nothing inviting, desirable, enticing about any of those. I mean, it's not desirable to have to do something under force, pressure, coercion, manipulation, to think you have to not be enough, that you're unacceptable, that you have to dissociate, that something's wrong with you. Like nothing in any of those meanings is worth moving towards.
Eroticism dies.
Yes,
It
literally.
goes to the graveyard when it's put under these onuses of having to have control or be a certain way. It
Yes.
wants to live and thrive in a place that there's no boundaries, that it is just you. And knowing that you are completely different and that's okay
Yes.
allows it to just be flourished and grown and nourished in a way that it can allow it to do it. And it will definitely be a place that you have to tune out all the other messages and look to yourself to find out what is my sexuality? What does it look like? And learn to love it. And spontaneous people, please look at your spouse. And I know the reason why we do this is because we're here thinking if she loved me, she would look this way because that's just so clear to us, right? Oh my gosh, I desire her. I want her. And I can understand that because it's so deep in my heart and I really know it. And I try to translate back the other way. And I'm like, why am I not getting this reciprocated back to me? And that's the problem with the spontaneous things. We don't understand or curious about that there's a whole other pattern here and let that pattern grow because we're looking for us to be chosen and to be loved. And when it's not reflected back in the same way, then we think there's something wrong with us, right? We're broken on the same side and we're trying to extract that validation out of our spouse and know it. So it's a struggle on both sides and really understand like I want to make it very, very clear. Like this is hard stuff that we've worked really hard to do. Again, I may over index on this, but I don't ever want it to come out like we're superior or anything else besides that. Right. we've just been blessed enough to be able to study this stuff and go through the pains of it and work with it daily to be able to see and learn and grow. And that's why I want to share it with you so badly, because I want to give you hope. Nothing special with us. And we've learned these hard things that have actually brought joy into our lives when we've learned them and be able to accept them.
So, the message that I really want to give to all responsive desire spouses, all responsive desire females, is that you can be responsive. You can be exactly who you are and thrive. Have a thriving relationship with your own sexuality and also with your spouse. You don't have to change who you are, the essence of you. You don't have to look like your spouse, be your spouse, show up in that same way. What I want you to hear is that you can bring the essence of you and all of you. And in fact, if you're not, why would you even want to be
Right.
sexual? Like, what's desirable about that?
Yeah, it's a chore. It's what add it to the task list.
Right. No, 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 no. And that when you start to see this, I'm going to give some more analogies here in a minute, but when you start to see that this isn't about leaving some part of you behind or separating from yourself, this is actually about you growing closer and understanding and connecting with exactly who you are and learning to develop that. And as you do, there's freedom and joy and ease in that. So this isn't about leaving you behind so you can force yourself to be another way. This is about embracing who you are and accepting that to such a deep level that you can be present. And that presence brings the joy, the connection, the pleasure, the aliveness. Please, please don't allow yourselves to believe that something is wrong with responsive desire. There is nothing wrong with responsive desire.
And my spontaneous friends, please be curious, loving, and supportive. And it's your job to say, do I love and choose my spouse just the way that she is in this different sexuality? Can I love her this way? This is like maybe spoiling the end we're going to get to, but I'll give you a spoiler right now. It's better than anything you ever thought of. Way better. When you can turn to your spouse and say, I love you just the way you are. You don't have to look like me. I'm curious to know how this impacts you and how you think about it. And let's figure this out together.
Mm-hmm. So I want to bring an analogy. We were out horseback riding this morning, and I usually ride one horse Pepper, but this morning I was riding Clifford. And the reason this is important is because I don't have a whole lot of time in the saddle with Clifford. So it's a very new experience for me to ride Clifford. It's also a really new experience for me, just horseback riding in general. I grew up in LA in the middle of a city and as far from anything that looked like horses or land or even green grass as possible. And until a year and a half ago, had spent very little time around horses. We went on a few vacations to a dude ranch where I sat on a trail horse, but trail horses are basically just dead inside and you just sit on them and they just do their thing. It's not really horseback riding. It's not really learning. And so I do think this analogy may help some of my responsive desire friends get some insight into what I'm saying and how I can say this. So here I am learning to ride. It's new. It's scary. Horses are big. It's unfamiliar. There's a lot of new terminology. There's a lot I absolutely did not know about horses. There's a lot I did not know about myself, sitting on top of a horse or even being around a horse or even learning how to
Your body position, things
care
that
for a
move or
horse,
don't
things that
move, like
move.
when you ride.
And so in being able to learn how to ride, I had to learn more about my body. And this wasn't about me not being enough or being broken. This was about bringing all of my past experiences. It was about bringing the music that I have. And a lot of horseback riding deals with rhythms and counts. It was
Dancing.
it was about bringing dancing. It was about bringing my pelvic floor therapy and my strength training therapy and different awareness I have gained as I've learned to just move my body, whether it's running or walking or different workouts that I've done. It wasn't about leaving all of that behind. It was about bringing it forward and learning to integrate, okay, here's what I know about me, and here's what I'm learning how that translates here.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you ride a horse, the hard part about it isn't this, sitting on top of the horse. The hard part about it is you have to isolate certain muscle structures that you've never isolated before. And things you want to sit still and things you want to move usually just happen naturally as you learn to grow and walk and stuff. And now you're like, okay, I got to keep my legs on them and I don't want to move my legs, but I need my pelvis to be open and I want that to move. But I want to sit up tall, my shoulders to be back. And
And
there's
elbows
so
in and
many
calves
things.
on it, but heels down, toes
Yeah.
up. It's a lot of awareness
Of your body.
of
Yeah.
your body. And so I feel like that's a lot of what it feels like to be responsive desire. There hasn't been permission to even just learn awareness of your own body. There's been separation or shame or dissociation or fear of your body. And what I'm suggesting is bring all the goodness, all of the wonderful things that you have learned and that you enjoy about your body, bring those forward. Don't leave them behind and allow yourself some permission to learn, to explore, to try things out, to practice.
When you're saying this, I'm thinking, holy cow, isn't this crazy? You didn't think because you got on Clifford and you couldn't do it perfect the first time, you didn't think you were broken.
No,
You didn't think there was something wrong with you.
no.
Or that you needed to fundamentally change and be like Clifford. You're not going to get on all fours and run around, right?
Or there are a lot of
or all
people,
the professionals sitting in the arena riding
right?
with
We
you,
have a
right?
lot of professionals that are riding all around me as I'm here being a newbie and making all of these newbie
Right.
mistakes. And it in no way means I'm broken. It means I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to integrate with my body, how to integrate understanding. I'm learning how to notice and be aware. And that's something that responsive desire is invited. And this isn't a separation from you. This is an invitation to actually connect more with yourself, more awareness, more understanding, more learning. And it is a process to learn. And I think what responsive desire females run into so often is that they weren't given permission to do that. They're afraid to do it. And they think that if they learn about their bodies, especially any sexual parts, especially their clitoris or vagina or different things, that they will lose their virtue or somehow be wrong. And so this is me saying, no, there's no other path. It's about accepting and learning and trying and failing. I don't even want to say failing, but like I'm going to tell you about an experience I had this morning. So it's not about failure, it's about the permission to keep trying.
I think
And
it's okay to say failure. I think we put bad connotations with failure. If we just take failure as saying, I tried something and it didn't work, that's what failure is. For some reason, we put in our minds that means there's something wrong with us, that we're broken somehow, right? Those two things aren't equal.
another part of sexuality is really learning to work in tandem and collaboration with another person. And this is also true on horseback riding. I literally didn't know anything about horses and how they moved and their collection and how to cue them. I thought it happened all from the reins, and it really happens from your seat and your legs and how you're moving your body. And so there's a lot of learning too about this horse and learning to understand its cues and
Because
even,
Pepper is completely different.
yeah, the
Like you
horse that I
can't take
usually
two different
ride.
horses. You got a old ranch horse that you can barely put your legs on because he goes flying like a bat out of hell, to a Western Pleasure show horse that needs their legs on him that has 25 different buttons. And if your leg is a quarter of an inch different place, you're telling him something, and he's like, "Well, you're telling me that."
Right.
So couldn't be two different things. And by the way, I just want to say this while I'm here. Like, I am so proud of Amy. Amy's taken this old ranch horse that his owner really has never trained him and rides him way too hard and is actually way too big to be riding him right now. And he's old. And she has lovingly chosen to not only learn herself about horses, but to learn this horse and what he needs. And we have these ladies that are professional that have been training horses for 30 years. The lady that owns the horse property behind us, she trained all of John Travolta's horses. Like, she's a big deal in the horse industry. And her coming up to Amy like, wow, Pepper's looking good. Like, you're doing good. I haven't ever seen him trot like that. And it's true. And so I'm not trying to just give you a big head. I'm just trying to tell you that I'm very proud of her. And it started not only with going on Clifford today, and we'll get to the end of that story, what happened today, but she's been willing to take this horse that had never been trained before and not her knowing herself. And she loves this horse so much.
I do love that horse.
Everyone else is like, oh, that horse is hard to ride. Why do you want to ride it? And she's like, I love him. I don't care.
I love him
and so she's
much.
poured into this horse and became a partner with him.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I get on him, not like that.
No.
He wants to just,
he misbehaves for you.
God. Well, she just gets so anxious, and he knows the difference between me sitting on his back and when Amy gets on his back. It's like, okay, it's my Amy. We're going to go do our thing. So I just want to say that how proud I am of that part of it. And it really it does show part of this analogy too. It's not only where you're willing to learn with Clifford, and we're going to get to the end of that story, but all the time that you poured into understanding Pepper and being willing to ask him to do things that he's never been asked to do before. And he loves you so much and trusts you so much. He does things for you that he won't do for anyone else.
I love that horse.
And again, that's a beautiful analogy, right? They ended up trusting each other and learning from each other. And he was like, okay, I know I've never been asked to do this, but I love you, Amy. I'm going to do it. And he has, and it's been quite amazing.
And he does love me. I love that boy. He snuggles
Maybe
right
too
into
much.
me.
We won't go to him dropping his manhood every time.
Okay, stop. Okay, I want to say though that the process of even learning another, right, is uncomfortable. It's not only uncomfortable to learn about yourself, but it's uncomfortable to learn your spouse. And I think this is a lot like horseback riding. It's been very uncomfortable. I've had a lot of humbling moments learning, and I've had a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, I don't even know what happened. And I've had to seek out help and different information and tools and skills. And that doesn't mean I'm broken in any way. It means I'm learning. And what I really want to say to my responsive desire friends is give yourself permission to learn. Bring your whole self, knowing that you are exactly enough. And when you step into sexuality, it's not about something's wrong with you. It's about learning to develop in this area, to take exactly who you are and learning to integrate and be comfortable and find freedom and ease. And that comes through developing. It's not something that just happens. It is something that you have the opportunity to develop. So this morning, I am on Clifford, who is the Western show horse, quite different from my old ranch horse, Pepper. And I am cueing him. First, I'm just doing a walk and a trot.
Looking really good, actually.
And I'm like kind of getting the feel for him, learning how to communicate with him, getting some feedback, testing some things out. And it's going pretty well. So I'm like, okay, let's go to a lope, which is a little bit faster than a trot and a little bit more skilled of a movement. And my first one was, I didn't quite cue him right. He
was loping in the front and trotting in the back. I'm like, well, that's interesting.
He was like, I don't really have to listen.
It's like, I'm going to pretend for Amy that I'm loping. She doesn't know the difference. Dad, don't look over here. I know you can see that I'm trotting in the back.
So it wasn't quite there. It was kind of a
halfway there.
It was halfway there.
It literally was loping in the front and trotting in the back.
Yeah, it was meh. My second one, so I got some feedback from that. I was like, help me understand what happened, and got some feedback. My second one was like amazing and beautiful, and it felt joyful and smooth, and there was like this freedom and ease, and I was like,
you're like, oh, that's different than the last time.
Yeah, and it was full loping, and I was like,
freebie pattern. Here we go.
Feeling like all that cowgirl and everything, and I was like, yes, this is amazing. Wow.
And you got some more feedback.
I got
Vicky.
some more feedback, and so I went in for the third try. And he kicked and bucked and reared and tried to throw me. And it was frightening and terrifying and a complete hot mess.
She might have been a little aggressive on her ask.
I might have asked a little too much. And it was humbling. It was totally humbling. And my heart was racing because here I was in front of, there were actually professionals out and they were, working as I,
Getting ready for their show.
getting ready for their show. And I totally was a hot mess and a half. And they were like, whoa.
But no, the thing, and this is the other thing, right? None of them really cared. They've all been there.
Yeah.
When from the very beginning when they didn't know how to ride. In fact, Vicky turned to you and said, "Oh, good job, Amy. Way to stay on there." Now she just turned to you like, "Get back on in middle and do with that." And you're like, I don't think I can do that.
I had to
I'm
stop
scared.
and breathe and recollect myself and center and kind of calm him down and calm myself down. And it was a little bit of a rough patch. And this is part of learning to work together. And I feel like as you are developing in your own sexuality and learning to work in tandem with your spouse, there's going to be some well, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And there's going to be some joyful, amazing vistas and moments when you're like, wahoo! And then there's going to be some all out, embarrassing, humbling, hot messes where you're like, nothing about that worked.
Right. And it's not like you're never going to get back on Clifford and try again, right?
No, I'm going to go ride
Yeah.
again tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We'll do it again.
And
maybe with less people around.
perhaps.
Maybe first. Maybe I'll let you go first so he's not tired.
And so I guess I want to give permission for my responsive desire spouses to first of all learn yourself. Learn about your anatomy. Learn about how you can bring yourself to this intimate experience. Learn how to share yourself. Learn how to discover what even brings you pleasure. Allow yourself permission to experiment, explore, try without any of the meanings that you're broken or something's wrong with you or you should
right. And if it's
look
different,
like your spouse.
If it's different than your spontaneous partner or thinks it should be, fine. Don't hold that to him. And spontaneous partners, please, like I said, put your curiosity ears on and be curious. What does really turn my responsive spouse on? What does really make her thrive? What does really bring her joy and pleasure? When you can be on board with that, it's a whole nother story.
Yeah. And I've learned from horseback riding that you have to have a strong sense of who you are. There has to be constant communication between you and this horse. And I think what so many responsive desire spouses do is try and shut themselves down, try and just become what they think their spouse wants. And that will never create thriving sexuality. First of all, you won't desire that because nothing desirable in that. And there's actually not that communication between two selves to make a relationship, to have any joy, to have intimacy. You've got to have this sense that I'm okay, I'm enough. Even if my spouse is being critical or saying I should be this or saying I should be that, like holding on to yourself enough to say, no, I am whole. I am enough. I do want to learn about myself for my own self, right? Like not to keep my spouse from leaving or to keep them from viewing porn or to try and placate them or to keep them from pouting or misbehaving, but because I want to learn. So when I get on the back of the horse, I am not getting on that horse to please Greg. I'm not getting on the horse to please Clifford or Pepper. I'm riding because I want to learn. I want to understand. I want to grow in this capacity. And that's what I encourage my responsive desire friends to be reminded of. It is a little bit like stepping into the dark because you don't automatically have like the nudges or sparks. So it is a little bit about trusting that you can and that it is there and that there is joy and that there is fulfillment and that you are able to develop. And there is a little leap of faith and trust. Fundamentally, there is a leap of faith that we take as responsive desire people. And I think the willingness to take that leap, knowing that it is for you and will expand you and has the capacity to bring you joy and isn't about leaving any of you behind, but actually about bringing all of you into this, that's when it really becomes thriving and beautiful.
And since we're on this horse analogy, I'm going to follow it through. There's a famous clinician that I watch on YouTube that's been training horses for decades, right? And he does his top 10 things he hates about the horse industry, which I find hilarious one, but it's
We maybe need to do that. Top 10
things
things we hate, the messaging we hate about either intimacy, spontaneous, responsive. Right. That's kind of a fun idea.
Maybe we'll put that in there. But one of his top 10s is this thing in the horse industry where people get mismatched with horses. He says, if you are just learning to ride a horse, don't go find a young colt that's not barely broken and green.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, I've seen so many disasters because you don't know what you're doing. The horse doesn't know what it's doing. There's not a natural leader. It is just a major disaster. He says, find a horse that is broke, understands what they need to do, and will give you the confidence.
Broke, you mean trained?
Yeah, trained.
In case someone doesn't know this language.
That's trained, that knows what they need to do, that will give you the confidence you need to know, hey, you may not do it exactly right, but I got your back. I'll pick you up on this, right? Mm-hmm. I think Pepper was great in that way about why he wasn't, hadn't been asked to do a lot of things. Like, he wasn't going to go take you bucking across the arena. Mm-hmm. He wasn't going to try to throw you in any way or be an idiot. I mean, sometimes he doesn't listen. But he was old enough and had been ridden enough that you weren't starting on a fresh horse.
No, not at all. There's nothing fresh about him.
And why Clifford
He's very patient.
Yeah, why Clifford has a lot of more buttons and needs to be ridden in a different way to do it. He will lose his cool sometimes, like he did today. Mm-hmm. But he's not an idiot in general, so he's not going to just like take you on a bucking bronco ride. We were actually at the rodeo last night, and one of the girls that was roping got to the end of the arena and just barely caught that calf, and her horse started bucking and bucking and bucking.
Threw her off, right? Flat on her chest.
You had to watch that. You're reminded that they're doing it. So what he's saying is start with a horse that can help you find that confidence. And then when you have that confidence of who you are, then go find a horse that maybe needs to learn. It's like one of you needs to be the confidence builder and the leader. And I think it's the same way here. Like, don't look at all these things, or even listen to our podcasts. And, we have a podcast on fantasies. We were just talking about it just this morning, right? There's some topics in there that I don't want to say advanced. Is that the word, advanced? But they're more complex around sexuality themselves than some of the other topics. And maybe you don't start with fantasies, right? Yeah.
So that is one of the things, like one of the last pieces I think that came in for me.
I'm guessing don't try to get ahead of yourself and try to go find those things. Like, these are the simple things. Permission to start at the beginning.
And just start.
Yeah, and that's where you'll build your confidence. Like, just learning who you are and what your body is.
Pepper, I just sat and learned how to sit on him. We didn't even do anything. I just had to learn how to sit, how to hold the reins, and that was important learning.
And then when you're a responsive desire and you're learning by yourself, you literally just you found a place to learn about your anatomy and how that works and how you can find pleasure.
He's
and
referring
you learn about
to omgyes.com. Yeah. Which is a site that is for women by women. They researched, I think it was 50,000 women, and then they brought in a few that were willing to demonstrate live. But it's information about how your internal, external, and also any kind of toys. There's 3 different seasons. How female anatomy works, and some ideas and some tips and some tricks and some suggestions. And you don't have to watch the videos. You can just read the content. But again, it was a lot of learning about my own anatomy that I didn't have. And I didn't know it a lot because I didn't have permission before. And I felt like if I learn about my anatomy, then I'll go down this dangerous, slippery slope, and somehow I'll be, I don't know, like out of control of my own sexuality, when I actually think my rigidness, which is a lot of what I come across with responsive desire. They're so rigid. They're so afraid. My rigidness was actually more dangerous and harmful than when I actually learned to integrate.
Give yourself permission.
Yeah.
And warning, spontaneous friends, don't do it the way that I did it. Like, for me, I totally messed up because I was like, oh, you're watching OMG. Yes. Tell me all about it. I want to learn about it. I want to do it. And I was like so forward pushing and excited that she had taken this step to learn about herself, I did not give her space at first. It took me a while to give her the space that she needed to be able to truly learn about herself. And so be willing to be patient in those areas.
The other thing I want to say is you need to be able to communicate. You are not the same as your spontaneous desire spouse. Your spontaneous desire spouse is not the same as you. You fundamentally see and approach so many things so differently. There's so many different meanings. There's so many different things happening in your body that they may be misreading and you may be misreading theirs. And so really the only way to clear those up is to be communicating. And back to the horseback riding, there's constant communication between the rider and the horse, constantly giving signals, and they're either responding or reacting. And we hope we've done enough podcasts to help you see that reaction is not desirable. That's usually your defense mechanisms, your young regressive self, but learning to respond.
Right.
So that there is this feedback and partnership and collaboration. And I really think, one last thought, so many spontaneous desire spouses say, how can I share what I want and it not be critical? And in answer to that, if there's already an understanding between the two of you that one of you isn't superior and one of you isn't better and one of you isn't right, if there's a clear acceptance of yourself, acceptance from your partner, the one thing that really turns responsive desire spouses away is judgment and criticism. Nobody wants to cuddle up to judgment. It's not fun.
It's not cuddleable.
It's not cuddleable. So like criticizing is not a way to build this intimacy. But if you as a responsive desire are willing to accept yourself, if your spontaneous desire spouse can calm down enough to accept you, then when feedback comes, there's already this foundation that like neither one of us is broken. It's just, hey, how can we build this together? Or can we try this? And maybe it'll work, or maybe we won't, or maybe it's a communication, right?
Right.
Not a criticism.
And sometimes that's not fun to listen to.
No.
And it's not easy
not
to get.
Fun to get bucked off a horse either, but I spurred wrong.
That's what an intimate relationship is about, right? Is being willing enough and being secure enough in yourself that you're willing to see yourself from someone else's eyes. And take from that things that you like about yourself from what they see. Oftentimes, Amy's eyes are much kinder than my own eyes, right? Mm-hmm. This other day, I was telling Amy how much I loved her muscles and enjoyed them. And she was thinking about how fat and flabby she was at that very moment, right?
It's true.
And she's like, oh, I do have muscles. That's great. Thanks for letting me see through your eyes. And so it's being curious enough and open enough to be able to see those things that expose us, because marriage exposes things to us, and being willing to look at them and say, okay, these are the things that I like about myself. These are things that I don't really like and want to change, and be willing to go there. I also want to say, I think Amy said something really important in the front of it. And I want to say, for those people that are maybe further on along in this journey, this is an up and down, valley, peaks, trudging through mud, having some high valleys, some summits that are great. It's
some neutrals, some wins, awkward, quirky fails.
I feel like even after I say that we've probably been pretty decent at this in the last 3 years, right? And we've gone through this. I say the last 2 weeks before this, we were in a valley and like trudging through some stuff, and it brought up behaviors that I didn't like about myself that I thought I had put away for good. And I realized you don't ever put them away for good. They're still there because they're part of you. You just recognize them faster and be able to deal with them. And I would say we trudged through that. Now this weekend, holy shit, it's been amazing, right? Double nights of dates and going out and spending time with each other and being close and enjoying each other in multitudes of ways. And I feel like we've been on the peak. So I say that to say, no matter where you're at in this process, there's no end game. You're not going to arrive. It will continue to grow and develop and learn. And that's what's great about it. We worry about getting bored with our spouse, and because we're with the same person all the time. People talk about, well, how can you just be one person all the time? We're meant to explore and have all these things. It changes. We grow, we develop. It's different. What worked last time doesn't work this time, which frustrates the hell out of me sometimes. Because I'm like, well, let's go back to that. You enjoyed that yesterday. And Amy's like, I'm not into that today. I'm like, what? What's up with that?
Communication, ladies.
I mean, that just happened this week. She's like, yeah, this time I don't think this is going to get me going. And I'm like, well, got you going yesterday. It's a new day, babe. Okay, it's a new day. You know, oftentimes our spontaneous side, we could go back to the well over and over again, right? Because we can get aroused so fast.
You know that from writing Clifford, right?
Right.
You'd think, oh, this would be boring. We go to the arena
I got
all
this
the
down,
time.
yeah.
I've got this down. It's just going to be like clockwork. Everything's going to work. And they're just variables and different things. And every ride's kind of a new adventure.
You have a partner, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. If you, no matter where you're at in the spectrum, how you're doing it, if you've been doing it great for years and you feel like you're really on the same page and that your responsive desire spouse has learned themselves and understands their sexuality and you've accepted it and you're great with it and you're having these great sexual experiences, there will be peaks and valleys. Mm-hmm. And if you get yourself too frustrated and wrapped up around that, which I have, then I don't like to behave. I go back to some of those
really
regressive selves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Amy has to remind me that I've regressed. And I'm like, you're right. I'm just a baby. Let me grow up here.
Not a baby, maybe an adolescent.
I don't know. 12-year-old, which is the worst. Going through puberty, 12-year-old. Can't control my hormones.
So, my message to responsive desire females: you're not broken.
We love you.
We love you.
We're grateful you exist.
Throw away the shoulds. Yep. Throw away all of the I have to, I need to, I should. Throw them away. Just get rid of them. And instead start with, I am enough. I'm wanting to learn to understand more. Take the first step towards integrating with yourself. Don't leave yourself behind. That's the most important part.
It will never work.
Never. You have to.
You'll get resentment, that's all.
Bring yourself. That's what's so beautiful about it is you. Bring you. And learn how to enjoy bringing you. Have permission to learn you. It is a journey, and that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's part of the joy of learning. The joy of elope when I had learned some things. Amazing. And you know what? The next 10 tries, I may mess it up or it may go great. I have no idea. Who knows? But the process of just even being able to sit atop of horse and be knowing how to communicate and to be working together, it's really rewarding. And I think that's what intimacy does. The process of knowing that you have a self, they have a self, and you get to work together and collaborate. It's really rewarding.
Yep.
Even in the hills and valleys and peaks and mess, it's still a very intrinsically rewarding process.
And spontaneous friends, please just go find the confidence that you can love yourself and know that you're okay. I think it's the same thing, right? We think we're broken in a different way. We think maybe we're hypersensitive to sexuality. Maybe we're deviant. Learn that your sexuality is okay with yourself and that your spouse is choosing you. The signal that her sexuality is different has nothing to do whether she's choosing you or not. And if you can wipe away that meaning, it will take away that pressure from her. Think that she needs to leave herself behind to be able to choose you. It's not true. I am grateful that we got to talk about this topic. It really has been amazing to watch our responsive friends learn about who they are. Our favorite part of the retreat is when all the women get together. And this one, especially the last one we did, we came out of it and I had a coaching session right after that with a couple and she was just in tears. She's like, I'm not broken.
You're not.
Now she was pissed too.
That sometimes can come with it. Like,
she's like,
my spouse has made me feel.
Like, I'm not broken. And you've been saying I'm broken this whole time and trying to fix me. So there might be some anger that comes with it too.
That's also normal. Yes.
But so realize
Some
those emotions will
anger, some
come.
resentment,
Yep.
some hurt, some betrayal. Yes.
But you go,
Can
both
work through
didn't
those.
know. You did not know. That's why I told them. You didn't have the knowledge to know to choose differently. When you do, and then you choose that way, then that's a problem, and that's shame on you. But in the midst of not knowing and taking what society, remember I started in the very beginning, society's gotten this wrong. Science has gotten this wrong. Culture's gotten this wrong. Religion's gotten this wrong. Everything that we interact with from the day that we're born to the time that we get married has gotten it wrong, most likely. And so if we can give ourselves a little grace to realize, okay, I'm relearning something, I'm really relearning to do this. One last thing with horses. I promise we won't go into horses
One
again.
more horse thing. Woo. Raining in the horses today.
By the way, I finally took a friend of mine telling me that I sucked at riding.
It's true.
The only one that was honest with me. And then I went to my good friend and we really adopted my adopted daughter who ended up
Well,
being
let me back up
Clifford's.
just a little bit in the story. So you had been riding for a while. You were thinking you were doing pretty well.
Yep.
Everyone was like, woohoo, go Greggy, go Greggy. And then a really honest woman said,
You suck.
you're actually really quite terrible. You really need to do a lot of work on your posture and see. And so then he went asking the gal who was their trainer.
So one of the gals that came with the horse, I think we've told the story before, that we've really kind of adopted as our daughter. I asked her, like, what's the truth? She's like, yeah, you suck pretty bad. And I'm like, oh, why didn't you tell me that? She's like, because you're letting me ride your horse for free. Fair enough. Well, I tell you this story because I've been riding for a very long time, and I had one leg that just didn't like to stay in position.
Yeah, it was a weaker leg.
It was a weaker leg. And it was over and over and just not doing it. And we tried all kinds of different things to do it. And so it takes these moments of trials, of getting it wrong and being frustrated. We finally, my friend and trainer said, you're no longer going to use your stirrups. They're you're forbidden. And so that's the final thing that finally fixed this thing with me. But thankful for a partner, for Clifford, who knew Dad didn't do it right. And he's not patient with everything. That's why he flunked out of the therapy program. It wasn't because he was a bad horse, because he wasn't patient with my riders, even though we're even more able-bodied, because they weren't giving the right signals. So he's not always patient. He chooses who he's going to love and then be patient with at times.
Obviously, it wasn't me
And
today.
today it wasn't Amy, nor me when I got back on, because he did the same thing to me. He was pissed. He's like, I'm done. He chooses when he'll be forgiving and listen, but that's the partner you need, right? And keep up and keep trying. I didn't give up. I didn't say this leg's never going to get it. I just kept going back at it. We kept trying different things, positions, lengthen the stirrup, shorten the stirrup, and finally abandoning the stirrups, which gave me the feeling of where that leg needs to be placed. And then Clifford's like, I can do more things now. Dad knows where to put his leg. And that's how this process will go. It's going to be frustrating at times. We're not going to learn everything right away, and we're going to have to try things out. And our partner will give us feedback sometimes, and that will be a buck sometimes and a kick. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we need to try something different. But keep going. Don't give up.
Please.
We're so grateful again for this podcast. Thank you for listening. I can't believe we have as many people as we do that listen to this podcast. And again, if it's just, I think if no one listened to it, it was therapeutic for us, we'd probably still do it. Not I'm saying I don't want anyone to listen to it. So keep listening to it. Like and subscribe. Give us thumbs up or stars or whatever the thing of your
Boost Greggy's dopamine as he watches the stats.
No, it's not about me and my need. But please, we love it. So give us feedback. Email us, greg@langfordlifecoaching.com or
Amy@langfordlifecoaching.com.
Yep. Come send us emails and feedback. We'd love to have topics to talk about. Or go up to our website. We have that free consult button on every page, and we'd love to have a consult with you. We're starting to see these come in, and it's awesome. Hey, I found you on your podcast, and I just want to chat. Amazing. We would love to. So please do. And spend some time thinking about whether you're the responsive partner or about what that means and how you can find more of yourself and your sexuality. And spontaneous partners, think about how you can be a little more curious about your responsive partner this week and be able to connect to them more and help them maybe find themselves. And until next time,
keep undressing your intimacy.
Bye-bye.